talk about some other things.
I was always, I could see different colors around people and would know of events that would take place before they did. So in my family and among my parents' friends, they knew. So if they had a big question, they would say, ask her. Or my aunts would bring pictures of boys and girls and say, okay, should we pick this girl for my son? And you know, they would consult me without actually acknowledging it, but just consult. So it was, you know, I just didn't want to acknowledge it and take it to heart, because when I was 5 years old, or less than that, 4.5, 5, I was just playing dress up with this scarf, and my grandfather came in and he said, are you playing dress up? Yes, I said. Oh, you're playing to be a bride? Oh, yes, I'm playing to be a bride. He says, will you invite me to your wedding? And I said, no. And he said, why not? And I said, because you'll be dead. And I meant it as a matter of fact, not as just a little child thinking this is my grandfather, but because I knew he wouldn't be around. And so my grandmother came and smacked me across the cheek and said, do not ever say such things, you know. So I kind of learned to hold back and not mention things that I saw. And sure enough, a few years before I got married, my grandfather had passed away.
He had passed away.
He had passed away. So he wasn't at my wedding, you know.
He wasn't at your wedding.
So I kind of held back, but I would kind of, you know, help and answer questions and learned.
Was he okay with the marriage, by the way?
He wasn't around. He had passed away.
He didn't know that you would be married. Okay.
No.
I see. I see.
So he was never there to meet my husband or, you know, bless me at my wedding.
Now, you were educated in India or here, and you were in the business world. Tell us just real quickly.
I did study in Pakistan, and then just a year in India, and then I was in Austria and in England, and then I came back to India and I was working. So I have a master's, not in parapsychology or anything. It's totally different. It's not with this field. But when I worked in corporate USA, for example, I would shake hands with people. I was in sales, and the moment I would touch their palm, I would have visions and images of events that had occurred and were about to occur, or, you know, and I would want to warn them. But here you are, you're wearing a business suit. This is the late 70s, early 80s, and you can't just say, hi, I am with this company, but by the way, you've got to have your prostate examined, or your daughter's pregnant, congratulations, you know. You just couldn't do that. So I would hold back, and then came a time I refused to shake hands. I would just go namaste, you know, and try to kind of stay away. But the moment my eyes would lock with the individual, I would see again. So I started looking away, and I'm a very direct person, and so it would be like, oh God, I can't not, you know, you can't avoid people. And so
from there you decided then to go into this wonderful work that you do, psychic and healing.
It was too overpowering. It was very overwhelming. I would have very intense experiences with visions, and, you know, my husband would jot them down and then check the paper, and sure enough, some of the events that I had mentioned would be mentioned in the news as having occurred. So it became extremely overwhelming, and then I just kind of said, you know what, I quit. I quit fighting this. Whatever I meant to do, let it be done.
Let it be done.
And that was it. So I just graced it.
Yes, and I know that you were, many in your family are surgeons, is that right?
Yes,
and they wanted
there's 9 doctors in my family.
Yeah, well, you're a doctor in a different way.
In a different way, yes. I had asked my guru once, we were all 15, 16 and gone to see him, and my friends wanted to know if they would get married, would be a doctor, would be an engineer. Came my turn, I asked him, I said, will I be I said, no, I'm going to be a doctor, because I was a pre-med student. I mean, that's all that, you know, in India, that's what they get a good career, be an engineer or a doctor. That's it, you know. and I said, but what field will I go into? And he said, no, you're not going to be a doctor. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, what? And I said, well, what will I be? And he said, Usha. And I was like, great answer, that's my name.
Thanks a lot, you know.
It didn't come to me until a few years later.
What does that mean, Usha? What do you think he meant by that? Do you
that
know
I would
now?
be me.
That you would be me.
That I would just acknowledge the abilities that I had latent, you know.
Yes.
I hadn't allowed them to develop.
Yes. And being you probably gave you the opportunity to come here, too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Being on TV.
Yeah. You're being on TV.
Exactly.
And really, yes, and let me just say at that moment, at this time, that we will be opening up the phone lines probably at the bottom of the hour, maybe 15 minutes from now, and you can ask questions to Usha for little answers, little what I call greetings rather than readings, because they can't go too long.
It can go too long.
And we're going to talk about something here in just a minute that might spark some of your interest and might make you want to call and talk with her. And I hope so. We have great viewers, and they call in and ask wonderful questions, and I'm so glad that you're here to give some of those answers.
Oh, I hope I'm able to help.
Oh, I
absolutely.
think you will. The Spirit's right here with you. Okay, so you were born then with these clairvoyant powers.
Yes.
And the ability to connect also, since not everyone knows what clairvoyant means, it might be watching, but you also have an ability to connect with those who have passed over.
Yes.
Not just like going to pass or
No.
illness or so forth, but you can reach, you can contact the spirit world.
Yes, they automatically show up, and sometimes I'll be doing a reading and I won't be prepared, and even my client who will be sitting there has, you know, questions of totally different nature, and then it will come that I see her grandmother who has passed away, and she was very close to her. And at times I'm hesitant to mention it because it freaks people out.
Sometimes.
But yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
But many times if I have the permission, then I go ahead and let them know that this is the name of the individual and he or she is present, or they sometimes have a message, sometimes they're just here to, you know, say hi,
Yeah,
you know, I'm
yeah.
around you, don't feel alone,
Yeah.
and feel connected, you know,
Right.
and so it's important for people to understand that.
It is,
It
yes.
is, and it just becomes spontaneous, you know.
And are a lot of the people that come, now you also do readings
Yes.
from your home?
Yes.
And also people can contact you if they want to talk to you more by phone with your
Yes.
toll-free
My
number.
toll-free number.
It's coming up. They'll be coming up
Absolutely.
across the board. That way, across the bottom of the picture, that way people can call you toll-free
Yes.
in the Bay Area and talk further with you.
Absolutely.
And I bet they will.
I look forward to that.
Yes. And so when someone comes to you, either for a phone reading or at your home, what might they expect, Usha?
Usually people have a lot of questions.
Okay.
And so very, very rarely, in the 80s, people would just ask for a general reading. However, it's changed over the years. Now it's like, you know, the fast food society, you know.
Yes.
You want to drive up, ask a question, get an answer,
Yes.
move on, you know.
Yeah.
And so many people just come with questions, and I have clients all over the country and plus outside the country in different areas of the world, and many of them have never met me, but before I begin a reading I only ask for their first name and their age. The reason I ask for the age, it gives me a platform from where to begin. So I'm not mentioning events that occurred many years ago.
Right.
So I know, okay, she's here, so what's
Yeah.
happening now in her
Okay.
life or
All right.
his life.
So even maybe when some of our callers, you know, phone in tonight, they can give their first name and their age.
And their age.
And the question
And
that
the question they have.
Maybe
Absolutely.
about relationships or money questions.
Oh, yes.
I know you do some work with people on financial issues, don't
Yes,
you?
yes. I have a number of clients that are in the financial world, brokers, realtors, you know, and they're constantly asking, how long will this house stay on the market? When will I get my money? You know,
Yeah,
I have clients that call to ask for the lucky numbers before playing lotto.
Oh, really?
Or going to the
Wow.
casinos, you know.
Oh, wow. So you just cover the whole gamut then,
It is
right?
interesting. It is interesting.
Now, how many people call in with spiritual type issues?
I would say about a third of my
About a third.
clients. Yeah, because for me, in my work, the most important part is the spiritual development. You know,
Okay.
and it's they say ignorance is evolution, or evolution begins with ignorance. You know, so as soon as you attempt to secure knowledge or attempt to gain knowledge, you're actually eliminating your ignorance, and you're gaining insight into what really matters, you know.
Yes, yes.
And so what really matters are not, and for some people for sure, it's the financial situation
Yes.
in their lives. However, what really matters is that you realize